This mushroom is called a Dryad Saddle. It's actually sometimes known as pheasant back because of the feathery look that it has, especially when they get larger. This is a very young one, only about 1.5 inches across. It would be very good eating at this stage actually, but they do get a lot bigger. And when they get really large, they get too tough to eat, but generally about the size of my hand is a good, I find, a good size to take them for eating. I'm going to take a chance on this one and try to let it get a little bit bigger before I come back for it. I did that about a week ago on some others at a different location, and when I went back yesterday, somebody had taken them. So it's a little bit risky to do that, but I'm going to see if I can let it get a little bigger just so I can show you what it looks like when it gets a little larger. Here's one from last year, an old dried up one. Here's yet another one from last year, quite a bit larger as you can see. Definitely no good anymore, but you can see they do get pretty large. Okay, here we are. It is 6 days later, and this is the same one I showed you there in the intro, and is now, close to the size of my hand. This is a great size to harvest for eating, so I'm going to do that. And cut off the stem. Stems are very tough. In fact, when I get home and slice this up, I will slice it into thin pieces, and there will probably be a point in here somewhere where it starts getting really tough. And basically I just only take the tender parts around the outer edge. Even when they get bigger than this, they get a lot tougher, and the tough part, the stem and even the real large, real tough ones, can be used for soup stock because they still have a really good flavor. They won't hurt you, they just get too tough to chew, and sometimes even too tough to cut with a knife. But this is a great size. If you can see, the pores are large on these. It is a polypore, in case I didn't mention that already. And they're a little oddly shaped, a little bit like the hexagonal pored polypore, although these get a lot bigger. And the color is pretty distinctive. You can see that feathery looking pattern. That's why they're called pheasant back. Of course, Dryad Saddle is the common name, the dryad being a tree nymph in mythology. I guess they kind of look like a little saddle sitting there on the tree. So let me take it home and I'll show you what we do with it. These are old, too old for eating. However, right here, there's a nice young specimen coming out and sort of branching in several different directions. So it's a little bit leathery right at the base, but overall this is pretty tender still. This outer part, these fronds, will be very nice and tender. Okay, brought this Dryad Saddle home. I cut one little sliver off it. These, it's kind of interesting because they smell a lot like watermelon rinds, or some people will say cucumbers when you cut them open. It's pretty interesting. I don't think they really have that flavor when you cook them, or I guess maybe I cover it up with salt and pepper and garlic or whatever. But one thing that some people like to do, and I've had them both ways, some people like to peel off the pores because the pores stay a little bit textural. They're not as meaty as the meat at the mushroom. Now, sometimes if you get them going, it'll really just peel right off the pore layer. So if somebody's a little bit finicky about their mushrooms or about wild food, something like that, you could peel the pores off to make it a little less weird maybe. So, because this one was getting a little bit dry, I'm going to do that because the pores are the first thing to dry out, and they get just a little bit, I don't know if tough is the word, a little bit grainy. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Peel this pores off, and then I'll cut it up. Okay, I have scraped the pores off there, scraped and peeled. A nice smooth surface. I'm going to cut this up. It's good to cut these into pretty thin strips because it's a rather substantial mushroom. Very meaty, very well, like I said, very tough when it gets close to the stalk. And because of that, you can actually cook them for quite a while. They won't overcook very easily. In fact, the tougher they are, the longer you want to cook them to really soften them up. I can feel when I get close to the stalk like that, I can feel it really getting a lot tougher for my knife to get through. See, pieces like that probably still be good, but I may have to chew on them for a little while. So I think that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that, and I'll cook those pieces up. Okay, there are a number of recipes out there that you can use for Dryad Saddle. I'm just going to straight saute these in butter and season them probably with some salt, pepper, and garlic. But you can look up all kinds of recipes out there if you want some variety. Alright, they're looking pretty good. I'm going to let Shaylin give one a try and see how they are. One other thing I will mention about these, because they're so substantial and they tend to be tough, they don't dehydrate well. Actually, they will dehydrate well, they just don't rehydrate very well. So they're not a good one for dehydrating for long-term storage. Hi there. Ready for a Dryad Saddle?
Yep. It tasted really good. It tasted like something familiar, but I couldn't quite place what it is at the moment.
Did it taste like cucumbers at all?
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Maybe they do maintain that cucumber flavor a little bit. I usually put so much spices on that it covers it up a little bit.
Can I try another?
Okay, trying one more piece. What do you think? Looks like a fry.
It's hot.
Is the piece a little tougher? Still like it? Alright.
Tastes like burnt bacon.
Yum.
Sounds good to me. Well, thanks for trying, and thanks for watching.